I'm going to go to my next slide, and then I'll go back to this other one. Wait, okay, here's another thing. Think about going to, I don't know if you've ever done this, gone to a birthday party for someone who turns 50 years old. And I do think it's changed over time. But I went online and looked at Amazon. I said, what does it say for gifts for a 50th birthday party? And of the, this is 7 I picked out, only 2 were positive. So the negatives were, I'm not 50, I'm 18 with 32 years of experience. So you don't want to say you're 50. This could be on a candle, on a t-shirt, on a water bottle. Smells like you're not in your 40s anymore. Someone might buy that and give it as a gift. And then this one is a little more neutral. It says, vintage 1974, weird being the same as old people, same age as old people. So 50, all of a sudden you're old people. And instead of Bath and Body Works, this one says, back and body hurts. It's good for you in PT. One more negative one is memory mints for senior moments. So I have a slide about senior moments. And just this idea that everyone's going to lose their memory or their cognitive abilities with age, which is not true. It is a disease state that does not affect everyone. There are a few minor issues, slowdowns with memory, and certainly speed, perceptual speed and motion speed. But in general, most people do not have cognitive decline with late life. So the 2 positives I found were making the world brighter since 1974. That's nice. Those are the people who would have been born this year. And 50 is the new fabulous. So there are some positive messages. And I do think the tide has changed. It's a little less negative, a little less ha ha ha, you're getting older, but it's still definitely part of our culture. Am I falling apart here? Okay. So let's talk about, these are 3 terms that I've heard from many other talks as well. Based on age, we have prejudice, we have stereotypes, and we have actual discrimination. So prejudice is just this general feeling that older people aren't as valued as younger people, or they're not as capable as younger people. And then we have specific stereotypes. Old people are bad drivers. Old people can't learn new things. Old people have dementia. They can't remember things. Lots of specific stereotypes that can cause harm to the person. Oh, good. It's on that's my screensaver. That's Beaver Island, Lake Michigan. And then we have actual discrimination. For instance, getting a job. We have laws against firing someone because of age. Our laws for hiring aren't really there. So you can interview someone, you figure out how old they are, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to invest in you when you have 5 more years left in your career. There is definite ageism in hiring. And certainly it's in firing as well, but people have to be a little sneakier about it because there are federal laws related to age discrimination in the workplace for those who have already been hired. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yay! Oh my gosh! No, no, no. It's jumping in and out. Okay. Not what? Okay. This is, did you see that one? There it is again. We're just going to let it, I don't know, blink. This is Gloria Steinman and Dorothy Pittman Hughes. They were both activists, feminists, activists in a lot of different areas in the 60s and the 70s. And this photo shows them back when they were really active in their younger years. And then much later, they redid the photo. Gloria Steinman was 80 in that picture. I always forget her. Dorothy Pittman Hughes was 75. So do they look less capable or powerful on the right? I mean, you don't need to answer that, but you can tell there is still a lot of life and passion. It doesn't go away with age, and I love that image. And we're not going to get deep into the social determinants of health and health disparities, but life expectancy is indeed lower for African Americans than white Americans. Dorothy Pittman Hughes already died. Gloria Steinman is 90 now. So that's just a little snippet of some of the social factors that affect aging. That's a whole nother lecture. Okay, so now I want you to think about how you might treat different people based on their age, or at different ages. They present with the same issue, the same things happen to them. They're either 17-year-olds, 57-year-olds, or 87-year-olds. So you don't need to look at the slide to know that, but maybe you'll get a chance. I have no idea what's happening, but we have two experts here. And let's say knee pain. This is the one I love to share. And I do have knee pain in my left side if I sit for too long. I happened to be a faculty member in a physician assistant program in Illinois for a while. Weird thing for a sociologist, but there I was. And the chair of our department liked to share what her mother said. Her mother went to the doctor and said, "My knee hurts." And the doctor said, "Well, you're just getting old." And she said, what do you think she said? You know, "My right knee is just as old as my left knee." You know? So don't just put it off as, "Oh, you're just getting old." Something happened that could potentially be addressed through some sort of therapy or maybe surgery. Someone keeps losing their keys. So if they're 17, you might just say, "Stop, you know, don't be silly." 57, like, okay, try to work on that a little more. 87, oh my gosh, she's got dementia. She lost her keys. So the first response might be different based on the age of the person. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Let's say you tripped over the front step. Again, the truth is there are some normal aging changes with, I would call it vestibular function. Aren't I fancy? But in a sense of balance. So it could potentially be something to be concerned about with an 87-year-old, but you're going to think about it differently. It's not necessarily ageism when you might trip over the front step. You got in a car accident. Again, you might tend to think the 87-year-old is a bad driver, where in fact probably the 17-year-old is a worse driver. Ask a question during a medical visit. And I'm going to, wow, I get 3 people. I'm going to address this again later because my dissertation was actually on talking around the elderly. We use older adult now instead of elderly, but participation in long-term care decision-making, having the family making decisions. What about mom? What about mom? And you know, mom's right there, and in many cases capable of being involved in that decision. So let's say during a medical visit, if someone had to drive mom in, you might be there and talking to the adult kids or adult daughter, and mom's right there. And you forget to involve her in the conversation, so you've totally left her out. That is ageism. You have this overall stereotype that mom isn't capable of making decisions about her own care or sharing responses. And it happens all the time. And sometimes it's maybe the healthcare provider is just trying to not be rude and tell the adult child to stop talking. Adult children want to do that, but it takes an effort to say, hey, I want to hear from the actual patient. I don't want to just be talking to you. And that's an effort you have to make. Again, here's a driving one. A driver pulls out in front of you. You kind of see how old they are. What do you automatically think, depending on their age, 17, 57, 87? Are you being ageist in what your views are? And here's one. What if they tell you they're engaged? What if your 87-year-old grandma or great-grandma says, I'm engaged? Yeah, good for you. Yeah. Let's hope that's the response. But it's like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing that.
Get a prenup.
Yeah, get a prenup. Get a prenuptial agreement because we want the house. Yeah. Okay, so I really like this slide too, but it's just some people holding hands, and it says, please don't ignore older adults in conversations, especially about their health. And you will have to make an effort. Because, again, that middle generation, if they're there, they're going to want to start blah, 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 blah. Talk. This happens a lot with people with dementia, too. It's one of my pet peeves. People have maybe mild cognitive impairment, some sort of impairment, and the family's just talking, and they don't let the person answer anything. It's ageism. It's not right. If you were in that situation, if you were the 87-year-old, you wouldn't want people talking around you or talking for you. You want to be able to have some, what's the word, agency in that process. I mentioned I wrote my dissertation on that, and it was a sense of control. I did realize in that certain cultures are more okay with an adult child, especially an adult son, making decisions. But that's not the norm in our, in the United States. So in general, we want to have some autonomy in making decisions. Okay, I know it's in a funny presentation mode. So why do we have some of these stereotypes? The first thing I'm going to throw out is a sociology term. There's a social clock. Like the 87-year-old who is engaged. We think that's way off. That's not the way it should be. So, I also forgot to point out, ageism can be against younger people too. Younger people can be discriminated based on age. You're too young to, yay! Was it just the chords? Something like that. Okay, we will never know. Yeah, and now it works.
We just want it to work, right?
Yeah, we want it to work. Okay. So this is really my main message to health professionals, health and human service professionals, and family members too. Keep the older person in the conversation. So I already got started on this next slide, which is the social clock. And that's closely related to cultural expectations for what's appropriate at a certain age. So let's say you have a college professor who's 24 years old. They went through college quickly, grad school quickly. You're like, really? They're teaching me? I don't know. That doesn't feel right. That's not your cultural expectation. And it can go different directions as well. But we expect the 80-year-old to be retired and not causing too much uproar, agreeing with everything, supporting the family. We have lots of expectations for older people. Tied in with this, and I think the overall concept of ageism is a fear of death. We don't talk about death much in this, our current culture. It's away from us. You know, my father, when his younger sister died of whooping cough, her body was laid out in the living room. You know, it was part of their lives. I'm not saying they were happy about it, but it was a little less away from us. So I do think we have a higher fear of death. It's not, we don't even all acknowledge that it happens to everyone. And so it ties into ageism and some of our thoughts about aging. We do need to acknowledge there are some normal changes with age. We do have some biological changes. Gray hair, wrinkly skin, loss of muscle mass, more likely to have many chronic diseases, osteoporosis, diabetes, heart disease, many things. However, it's again a stereotype that everyone's going to have dementia. So we have to be aware of what needs attention and what doesn't. Because very few things can be done to stop people getting wrinkly skin. I know people spend a lot of money on it, but stay out of the sun is probably the number one thing. So that's tied in. We need to know what's chronic, what are the actual disease states, and then we have the stereotypes of what a little old lady should look like. When I have students interview an older adult, they're often so surprised at how active they are, how rich their background is. They don't always know what depth they present to us. So that's a really great thing to get to know people. And it helps fight stereotypes. Really, with any group you have stereotypes about, the more you get to know them, probably the lower the strength of your stereotypes. And in our culture, we really focus on productivity and speed. Let's get this done, this done, this done. Let's do it fast, fast. And the speed is one thing that older adults are not as good at. We're not going to have the reaction time just with aging. Okay, so what are some impacts of ageism? I mentioned job discrimination in hiring and in firing, undertreatment. If you say you're just getting old, then you're not going to identify what was the cause of that issue and can we treat it. It's amazing what can be done. My 93-year-old stepmother fell and broke her arm somewhere in here, pretty major break, but she's healing. People can still heal when they're over 90, and people can still be very active. I mentioned it again, we might not be included in decisions about what happens. There overall might be a lack of respect, or even just ignoring someone, being looked over. You see a group of people, and the person with gray hair, you're not going to focus on as much as the younger person. You're not going to engage them in conversation and say, well, what are your thoughts on this? What do you have to contribute here? And then also negative impact is what if that person internalizes ageism and starts believing those stereotypes? It's a thing called stereotype threat, which is a kind of a fun concept to get to understand. But you like, okay, I'm less of a person now. So next year when I'm 65, am I less of a person? Am I less valuable? And then maybe when I turn 70 or 75, 85, am I less valuable? Am I less powerful or able to contribute to this world or to my family? So we have to think about what the society says, ha ha ha, you're getting older, you're less valuable. What does that do to that individual that's internalizing that line of thought? Okay, here's a little bit more about death. I kind of mentioned it already. It is kept distant from most of us. We might not say, I'm scared of death, but we don't really want to talk about it too much. Not very often. But research has shown that the older you get, the less scared you are of death. You understand it's part of life. We might be concerned about how we die, but we know. I mean, just in the last 2 months, friends and cousins and people are dying. And anyway, we get more used to it. I used to laugh at my dad when he would go first to the obituaries page in the newspaper, back when everyone read the newspaper. Now that's what I do on Sunday. I make sure I go to the obituaries page to make sure I didn't miss somebody that may have died. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I mentioned it a little bit, but there are indeed cultural variations on ageism, and there are other cultures where the older person is much more valued, and certainly subcultures within the U.S. as well. So it's a social construct, ageism, that seems to be still strong in the U.S., though it's a little less than when I first started in gerontology in the early 1980s. I think it's not as bad as it used to be. And I have one theory I'll show in a future slide. So what can an individual do to combat ageism? What are some solutions to combat late life ageism, which is my focus here? We just need to show more positive images of late life. Hey, we are powerful, we care about the world, we can be engaged. You need to be part of combating negative stereotypes. If you're working in a healthcare setting and you hear negative terms for an older person, it used to be pretty common in hospitals. I don't know how often they're still used, but I suspect they still are. There's a negative word for older people. Say, no, don't say that. It's not this word, it's Mrs. Smith. You can be part of correcting that thinking. And certainly stop and think, because this person is very frail and maybe has some memory issues, am I treating her differently than I might treat someone else? And you need to check yourself about how you're interacting with that patient who is older. And again, I've mentioned this already. If you were 87, how would you want to be treated? And you need to think about that. And stay in conversation. Keep them part of the conversation with decision making. And do your best to try to have equitable treatment based on age. Or not based on age, just equitable treatment. Okay. Haha, I'm having a senior moment. A lot of people joke about that. And, I don't. I try not to. I know there are a few memory issues, but it's kind of an ongoing joke. So I have I forgot this. Oh, you must be losing your mind or people start worrying you have Alzheimer's disease or dementia, which is the umbrella term. So here, if you can do this, we should stop joking about memory. Can you get this Slido? It's kind of small. It's an agree scale. Strongly agree, somewhat agree, never agree, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. We should stop joking about memory. Of course, I've already told you what I hope you're going to say. Yay! You guys are so good. I've had 7 responses. Somewhat agree. See? Some people it's okay to make some jokes about memory. That's okay. We have had 16 responses. 19. Okay. So most of you think maybe we should stop joking about memory, because if it's really happening, it is a concern. It's a serious concern. Thank you for your participation. We have more coming up. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, I gotta hit the arrow, I guess. Where is my? Okay. So here are what are some collective solutions as a group we can do? We were talking about individual solutions before. So we can have campaigns to challenge stereotypes based on age. And I know the AARP, which used to be called the American Association of Retired Persons, now they're just AARP. They've had campaigns about positive aging. You'll find campaigns. When I started in gerontology in the 80s, we're not seeing that. We were seeing a lot of movies with stereotypical older people. Now you see movies with very active older individuals, and it's really changed. The kind of cultural story of aging has changed. age inclusivity. So this is part of a collective solution. Anti-ageism legislation. We can definitely strengthen our employment laws related to ageism. We can strengthen other laws and policies related to ageism. We need to support all workers, older and younger workers, people who are different at stages in their career. And I have another slide coming up about age-friendly communities. We need to promote that. So our entire environment is age-friendly, so people can thrive regardless of their age or ability to get around. And promote intergenerational collaboration. Really, some great projects have been done matching up different ages. And you just learn so much from that. Daycares with an aging housing setting, or med students spending a year with an older person to get to know their lives better. Lots of examples of ways to work on intergenerational collaboration. I love my neighborhood because we have all sorts of ages in my neighborhood. And you don't see that all the time. It would be boring to just live with a bunch of people over, in one certain age group, so you don't have the depth of experience. Okay. Part of the reason we have more positive views on aging is baby boomers. So baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. 1946 and 1964. So I was born in 1960, so I'm on the young end of the baby boomers. But not only did we were very either involved or aware of movements for the rights of all people, but there's a ton of us. So, those post-World War II couples had a lot of babies, and then the baby boomers didn't have a lot of babies, so we're like super influential. If you look at pyramids, population pyramids, we're this big chunk of people. That's why you will definitely get a job. We need you. We need health professionals. But more importantly, who's been in charge of the movie industry, the media industry for the last 20 years? Baby boomers. And we're not going to say, oh my gosh, we're little old people who can't get anything done. We're going to be active and engaged, and so we're going to see much more positive images of aging because of the impact of the baby boomers. Okay. Now I'm going to pull it up out of the country for a little while. The World Health Organization has a global campaign to combat ageism. And they have I'm not going to spend much time on it. They do have a really lovely set of slides if anyone's interested in teaching this or learning more about it, incorporating it into your course. But I have 4 of the slides here. First is ageism is everywhere. It affects people of all ages. It exists in our institutions, our relationships, and ourselves. So that even has this, stereotype threat that when you're internalizing, I shouldn't do that anymore, I'm too old. Ageism is prevalent. 1 in 2 people are ageist toward other people. I did not dig down on how they did that research, but I'm going to trust them. And in Europe, younger people report more ageism than other age groups. It's harmful and costly. It affects your physical health, mental health, and social well-being. It exacerbates other forms of disadvantage related to sex, race, and disability. And it takes a heavy economic toll on individuals and society. So this is a short summary of a very long detail of how ageism can be combated through policy and law, through educational activities, yay, thanks for being here, and intergenerational interventions. And I have 2 slides here on what an age-friendly community is. There's also a movement for age-friendly universities. So age-friendly environments are free from physical and social barriers, okay, and supported by policies, systems, service, products, and technology that promote the health of individuals and enable people, and age-friendly practices meet your needs and help you learn, grow, and make decisions, and be mobile, and build and maintain relationships, and continue to contribute to your community. And then, so if we have age-friendly practices, we understand the capacities and resources of all people, and especially older people. We have more flexibility. We reduce inequities. We protect those who are vulnerable. And the final one is promote older people's inclusion in and contribute to all areas of community life. Okay, here's one just to think about. Who is more valuable in this photo? Looks like a family. Maybe these are 2 daughters. One of them's married to this guy. They have this child. This is the oldest generation. Who's more valuable there? Is there a difference in value? And that's, if you were presented with this group, what are your thoughts? And that's, to have to think about that is related to ageism. And the truth is we do have thoughts about it. I'm not going to do a Slido on that. Okay. But now I have a couple word cloud Slidos about ideas to how to make things better. The first is, how can Kalamazoo County be more age-friendly? How can Kalamazoo County, so you can do this little, what is it called? QR code, and I think it should show up. This is a brainstorming. People typing, that's good. Yeah, come on up if you can't get to it. It's far away. If you end up practicing in Kalamazoo County, you need to have your patients get to you. You need to have them supported. Your family. The older one? No, it's not right. It's right. I don't have it in my head right now. No, generation X. X. Baby boomer, then generation X, then millennial, then, yeah. Okay, look, we have 22 who've responded. I'm seeing transportation, community outreach, resources to make us more age-friendly, education, outreach programs, community events, inclusion, more inclusion with activities and access, a campaign, anti-ageism campaign. Okay, thank you. Now we have, let's bring it down to the individual. How can those of us in this room be more age-friendly? bad. It's a PT student thing. Inclusive pedagogy, awareness of stereotypes, self-reflections. Who's Ben? Is he an older student? Okay, good. Okay. You're right. It does happen in a classroom setting, especially in grad programs. You'll have some older students. You're like, oh, that's a little weird. But yeah, that's ageism right there. Check your assumptions. Reaching out, being open-minded, getting to know the person before treating. Yes. Yeah, this is so exciting. I'm glad I get to do this with you. Participate within your community. Reflect on your biases. Oh, Golden Girls. Yeah, Golden Girls is funny. But really, the basis of the Golden Girls is a joke. It's a joke that these older women are sexually active and kind of funny together. That's really the basis of the whole show. Now, it might not work quite the same way. But, I mean, it's a fun show. I'm not anti-show, anti-Golden Girls. It was really fun.
The other basis was women living in poverty. They had to live together.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
Live by themselves.
I did not think about that. They had to live together. Yeah. My girlfriends and I had a group from junior high. We're like, that would be kind of fun just to live together, once all the, so, okay. And how can healthcare, now we're at healthcare, and you guys got to some of that in the last one, but how can healthcare be more age-friendly? Not necessarily just you, but let's say your healthcare setting, your clinic, your hospital, your home services. Maybe even we go up to Medicare, Medicaid, things like that. But treat the person. Yay! I don't understand why they're all green this time. But anyway. Oh, okay. We need one that came. What does direct access mean?
Related to physical therapy. It's like not needing a prescription.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, like my knee kind of hurt, and my doctor said, I'll write an order if you want me to. And so far, I haven't done it yet. Okay. Oh, still Ben. He just must love you. Stop assuming in healthcare. Transportation to appointments, yes. Treat holistically. Treat the person. Equality of treatment. Be aware of the bias. You do need to stop and think. We all have biases. Unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of who we are. And we do always have to check ourselves. Listen to the patient. Encourage exercise. Yes. Give more equitable care. So I appreciate you thinking about this. Now, I haven't, any questions right now or comments before I go speeding along? I am actually almost done. But there's something that happened in 1987. It was a commercial. And from it came this common joke called, I've fallen and I can't get up. Has anyone heard that? I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay. As a gerontologist, I have yet to understand why it's funny. So I'm going to play the original one, and let's hope the sound works.
Do you have it on, if you get out of there, can you just get into YouTube?
Control, click. Okay, now I have to, stop. And now I have to I always have to do this in class. I have to duplicate it. And then dismiss, and then I'm like, Okay, this is the source.
When I became deathly ill, I was able to summon an ambulance, my next door neighbor, my family, and my doctor without picking up a telephone. I used this remote control to contact LifeCall, my 24-hour emergency medical response service. Watch. Just press this button and speak into the air and...
I'm having chest pain.
I'm calling paramedics and your family, Mr. Miller.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
We're sending help immediately, Mrs. Fletcher.
See? Protect yourself with LifeCall, and you're never alone. To get complete free information by mail about this affordable medical emergency response system, call toll-free now. LifeCall can save your life, so call to get free details by mail right away.
For free information about LifeCall, call 1-800-872-9100. That's 1-800.
Okay, so help me.
When I became
Okay,
deathly
stop.
ill, I was able to summon an ambulance, my next door neighbor.
Okay, so why? We didn't have the term viral back then, but it basically became that. Why do you, much younger, you weren't anywhere around, most of you, in 1987, why do you know that term? I just really want to know. I happen to think it's somewhat ageist, but maybe it's something else. Yes?
I think the reason that people find it funny who are younger, it's like it's the blatant overacting.
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking about anyone in that situation is like super sad and super horrifying.
Right.
But the way they're like, I'm calling emergency services.
Yeah.
No one's gonna
Yeah.
say that in real life.
Yeah. And it's just that one phrase.
Hyperbole.
That overacting. I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay, maybe that's it.
They also still use it.
They,
They make remakes of the commercial.
they keep you doing it. They keep making it because it's it's what? Just as dramatic. Okay, I haven't looked for earlier ones. Any other ideas of why it's just stuck with us? Okay, they keep using it. That's one reason. But I happen to think, I don't think that's funny. But, we all have our sensitive issues. And as you know, ageism is one of mine. Okay, so I appreciate your attention and your involvement in this. Do you have any other ideas or questions of how we can work on this topic? But I really charge you who are working in the healthcare profession to speak up, because you'll be with a group setting and you'll have people like my daughter's an occupational therapist. She's working in a skilled nursing facility right now. She's doing travel OT, having fun. She's in California. But, you're talking around the person right there. Mary Smith is laying in bed and perfectly capable of understanding. The staff are making the bed, talking about their Christmas party or their boyfriends and ignoring the person right there. And then these other assumptions that are made about older patients. So I really hope you speak up, really with any sort of discrimination that is not treating all people equitably. Wow, why did I pick that word? But I trust that we'll go forward and do that. Any last comments or questions? Okay, thank you so much for your attention. You're welcome.
You all are fabulous. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your attentiveness. I appreciate your presence. And I appreciate the fact that, and I'm hoping, this is my hope for you. When we put these on, it's our hope that you like good trouble. That you will stand up and be willing to be that face, that voice, that person who advocates for somebody who can't advocate for themselves, because you said, I want to help people. And that means you want to help everybody, no matter their color, their age, who they love, because that's what you said. So, you have an evaluation. I'm hoping to hear from every single one of you. Take a few minutes since we have until noon. Write anything that we can bring next time. Answer the couple of questions and just leave them over there by the water. I'd appreciate that. Okay, enjoy. Have a great holiday, you all. You all have